fight on the landing ground.
Thank you for joining us. You are listening to A Radio, and this is The Morning Moment. We're on weekdays, 11:45 Eastern. Follow us on Spreaker.com and click on the like button. This past weekend, I was watching Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo on Fox, who is, in my mind, one of the smartest people on that channel. Now, the links will be on my site, but she had a guest on there, Senator John Barrsso of Wyoming, talking about the state of affairs in general. And then he starts talking about the Green New Deal. Here's part of that piece.
Immoral.
Yeah, right. All right, let me ask you about the broader set of issues here. We've got this South by Southwest conference going on, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is defending her position on the Green New Deal, basically saying, what's such a big deal about going from 10% better than garbage? I mean, she actually called the U.S. and the U.S. policies right now garbage. How do you react to that?
Well, this New Deal, it's a crazy New Deal. It's a bad deal. I take a look at what they propose, what she has introduced, and 11 members of the Senate have as something as...
Stop and rewind that.
I take a look at what they propose, what she has introduced, and 11 members of the Senate have as something as...
Green New Deal? Cortez? Are you joking? It's not her policy. Remember, I told you on February 26, episode 513, entitled Green New Deal, whose, that she had nothing to do with that. She didn't write it. You didn't write that. It was written by activists in the UK. It isn't her Green New Deal at all. Why do they keep promoting that? That is fake news. Totally fake news. Continue.
What's the cost? What are the consequences? And will it work? Well, the cost is staggering, astronomical, $93 trillion. I mean, that would empty everyone's bank account in America, from Warren Buffett all the way on down. So the country cannot afford it. Individually, the consequences are people are going to lose their jobs. It's going to be about $65,000 per family per year, plus higher energy costs, higher heating costs. They want to get rid of airplanes. Anybody that works in an airline industry, they're going to be out of work. The energy industry, out of work. And what about the Air Force? You get rid of airplanes, Vladimir Putin's not going to get rid of his Air Force, just if we get rid of ours. And the question of will it work, Maria, it will not work. We cannot allow.
I want to reiterate, your knowledge base coming at this, because you're the chairman of the Committee on Environment and Public Works. You are an authoritative voice on knocking down this deal in this capacity. And you are also a board certified orthopedic surgeon in private practice for 24 years. So you have real opinions in terms of Medicare and Medicaid. Why won't it work? Explain to our viewers based on your knowledge base.
Well, right now, in terms of emissions, global emissions, and a global issue, the United States puts forth only 13% of those. China and India, 33%. So you can't power the country on wind turbines and solar panels alone. That's only 8% of our energy. We just cannot allow ourselves to follow this Chicken Little, sky is falling approach of these socialist Democrats like Ocasio-Cortez and the presidential candidates on the Democrat side of the aisle. We cannot follow them over the cliff. That is going to hurt jobs, hurt people's ability to pay their mortgage, hurt our economy, hurt our nation in terms of national security. If you want to do something, actually something significant and big, there are some solutions to this that I've proposed, and I'm working with people in a bipartisan way on it. Right. Sure, we need more renewable energy, but we need carbon capture, sequestration, utilizing the carbon, make it a valuable product. We've passed pieces of legislation signed into law called the Future Act, and we had a hearing on another one yesterday, all related to, or last week, all related to carbon capture, and the other is nuclear power.
Right.
Stop just a minute. Did I hear that right? Let's just play that again.
Carbon capture, sequestration, utilizing the carbon, make it a valuable product. We've passed pieces of legislation signed into law called the Future Act, and we had a hearing on another one yesterday, all related to last week, all related to carbon capture, and the other is nuclear power.
Right.
New age nuclear power, where the reactors are smaller, better, safer. That's all part of it.
Climate change? Stop. What's going on here? I thought the Republicans weren't in favor of legislation on climate change. Didn't you?
New age nuclear power, where the reactors are smaller, better, safer. That's all part of it.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned all of this, because you've worked with your Democratic colleagues on this, and you've recognized climate change as an issue. Do you think she just doesn't understand the issues? I mean, how is it possible that the party seems to be being led by her and her ideas? The whole conversation, the debate that we're having, is based on her ideas. What do your colleagues on the left say about this?
Well, some are very concerned with the position that the party has taken and the presidential candidates have taken. I think Nancy Pelosi is unnerved by this new group of Democrats in the House who are trying to take the entire party and are succeeding in taking the party on this sharp left-hand turn that's going to, as the New York Times today said, careening off the cliff.
Yeah.
That's where they're heading.
It certainly feels that way. I want to take a short break. When I come back, I want to get your take on the Medicare end of this and really healthcare in America today. Plus, Senate Judiciary Chairman Lindsey Graham has promised a deep dive on alleged FISA abuse. Will Republican leadership back him up? I'm going to ask you that as well. Then ahead, National Security Advisor John Bolton reacting to reports that North Korea has been observed ramping up activity at its weapon sites. Follow me on Twitter at Maria Bartiromo, on Instagram at Maria Bartiromo, and at Sunday Futures. Let us know what you'd like to hear from John Barrsso. And Senator, let me ask you one more about this Green New Deal, because the reports show that American households would have to pay up to $65,000 a year to pay for this New Deal. And the Medicare end of it is also incredible. Bernie Sanders is talking about Medicare for all, but that would wipe out the entire private insurance industry. 150, 160 million people get their insurance from the private health insurance industry.
And people tend to like what they have when they get their insurance through work and through private health care. But yes, this so-called Medicare for all wipes out all of that. It does a number of different things. As a doctor, I've seen it taking care of patients from all different walks of life. And the thing about the so-called Medicare for all, it eliminates private insurance. It leads to the kind of care that people now have in England or Canada, where you have to wait in line. So taxes would have to go up to pay for it. Choices would have to go down, and people would wait in line. Maria, I've actually operated on people from Canada where health care is free because they couldn't afford to wait the time for their free operation. Right now, after you see a generalist in Canada, to try to get to see an orthopedic surgeon like myself, the wait can be up to 9 months. People in America aren't going to tolerate that.
Unbelievable. And you're not really seeing the pushback from the leadership. I mean,
well, there you have it. I wanted you to hear some of those little snippets and my comments at the same time, because sometimes that rush technique, which is by far the best, helps to highlight key points, things that might otherwise be lost. So there it is. You now know that Republicans do not agree with the President of the United States. They have been working quietly and diligently with the Democrats to undermine his agenda. And they've admitted as much right here. And finally, you heard Senator Barrsso talking about socialized medicine in Canada. And that should be a cause for concern for all Americans. Yes, it would be free. That's, of course, if you can get it, and get it in time. And they would, just like in Canada, make it illegal for private healthcare to exist in the United States. That's a pretty good way, when you think about it, over time, to reduce your population through, shall we say, natural wastage? Waiting 2 years for a serious heart operation? How about 9 months to even get an appointment to see a specialist? That is certainly going on in the UK right now. I know about it. And in Canada, as 57 genders brings in more, quote, refugees, unquote, that has a crippling effect on the Canadian Health Service. The main reason being that many of these, quote, refugees, unquote, haven't had any form of healthcare in their lives, so they're in badly need of treatment. And the result of that is that they push Canadians already waiting further down the line as they take priority. That doesn't even include the poor, huddled masses yearning to be free, escaping from the, quote, tyranny of the United States, crossing our southern border, who also need medical attention. Not sure why that is, but there you are. And on it goes. The socialist bandwagon of free this and free that. But Canadians will pay for it all. And we don't have to worry about our national security because there's always those evil capitalists next door who will protect us while we live in our solar-powered windmills, smoke pot and drive Prius trucks. Sorry for the audio distortion. We're trying to work on that. We're not too sure what it is, but we're narrowing it down and we'll solve it as soon as we can. Please bear with us. And that's my rather sarcastic comment for the day. You can find more at aradio.wordpress.com, where you can find links to us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Gab and email. We're also on Spotify. Just go to the podcast section and type Canadian Politics with a twist and you'll find us. We are continuing to reach out to you, so please pass on these links. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com. You can listen to all our morning moments at Spreaker.com under A Radio. That's EHRADIO, A Radio, and click on the like button. And you can hear a review of our morning moments on WHBJ-DB, News, Talk, Radio on Spreaker.com. Join us and many others. And you can find all our podcasts and morning moments at aradio.wordpress.com. Click on the Morning Moments tab.